Eric Vav, straight into chapter 6. Disappointment. She can't find her lover. She loves him so much, but she wasn't there. When he knocked on the door, she wasn't listening. We have to listen to the call of God. Ana, halach dodech hayafa banashim, ana pana dodech v'navakshenu imach. Where have you gone, beloved, O fairest of women? Where have you turned, beloved? Let us seek him with you. So chapter 6 is very much going to be after the pain of separation of chapter 5. Now we're going to have reunion. We're going to have an attempt to return. And so chapter 1, it is the daughters. It is these girls that say, right, where has he gone? And they understand now that she loves him and she wants to be together with him, and they're willing to help her in that process. And she says, maybe she knows where he is. In the last chapter, she didn't seem to know where it is. Now she says, my beloved has gone down to his garden, to the bed of spices, to browse in the gardens and pick lilies. Here we have probably the most famous words in the book of Shir Hashirim. I mean, there are other ones. Ani l'dodi v'dodi li, haro'eh b'shoshanim. Right? And we know Ani l'dodi v'dodi li is as understood as an acronym for the month of Elul, the month before Rosh Hashanah, the return to God. I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. He browses amongst the lilies. Right? There is this mutual devotion that the two of us has for each other. That's what she says. He is searching. He's also looking, right? He's looking for me amongst the lilies. I am looking for him, but how can we be together? It's not so simple. And now we turn from her, we turn back to him. And in the metaphor, it is God. In the pshat, it's the man. Yafa atrayati katirtsanava kirushalayim ayuma nid galot. You are beautiful, my darling, as Tirza. You're as comely as Jerusalem. You're awesome as bannered hosts. In his beginning of description of her, right? You are beloved, and he calls her here, and he continues. Hasebi einayich minagdi shehem hirhivuni sa'arech ka'eder aizim. Turn your eyes away from me, for they overwhelm me, right? Your beauty is too much like the sun to look at. Your hair is like the flock of goats streaming down from the Gilad. Shinayich ka'eder harichelim sha'alu min harachza shekula mat'imot v'shekula ein ba'em. Your teeth are like flocks of ewes climbing up from the pool. All of them bear, right? They're clean, and all of them bear twins, and not one of them loses her young. I remember when I was a counselor, maybe on Machach, and there was a girl, and she didn't like her name Rachel because she said what the translation of it was. But here it's a compliment. Kefelach harimon rakatech miba'ad litzamtech. Your brow behind your veil gleams like a pomegranate split open. Shishim hema milachot bishmonim pilagshim va'alamot ein misbar. There are 60 queens and 80 concubines and damsels without another, right? There are lots of fish in the sea, and we think about maybe Shlomo with his 1,000 wives. Now there was wives and concubines together. There are so many women all around. There's so many potential partners all around. Yet, in verse 9, achati yonati tamati achati imat barahi liyoldata ra'ua benot vayashruha milachot ufilagshim v'haleluha. But yet there is only one, my dove, my perfect one, the only one of her mother, the delight who bore her maiden seer and acclaim her queens and concubines and praise her, right? She is special. She is different than all of the rest. She is unique and she is different. And God is saying here, despite all the people that I made, 8 billion or plus in this world with many wonderful people and many interesting persons, saying to the Jewish people, you're special. You remain devoted to me in this way, in a way that is very, very special. And then she reflects on her journey. In verse 11, Pasuk Yud Aleph, El Ginat Egoz Yaradati Lirot Be'ibei Hanacha Lirot Haparcha Hagefen Heinetsu Harimonim. I went down to the nut grove to see the budding of the veil, to see if the vines had blossomed, if the pomegranates were in bloom. Lo Yadati Nafshi Samatni Mer Mar Kavot Amin Nadir. Before I knew it, my desire set me amid the chariots of Ami Nadav. She reflects on her journey to the garden, and she's a little bit surprised by how quickly things have changed, right? Things change when you are away. Things change, long distance relationships. And she's surprised, and she says that, right? Lo yadati nafshi. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't understand what was going on in this. And here we have this chapter, which tells us, and ends with this sort of cryptic verse that, right? But there's this transformation of Israel expressing surprise. Did the reunion happen? Was the reunion greater than she could have understood it, as how it would have been? Is she overwhelmed? But what we have here is some sort of return and some sort of transformation that happens in this chapter. And going back to the last chapter, and again, I know I come back to many of these messages that seem to return to themselves, so much of this book about longing, about that love, about that desire, to partners for each other, lovers for each other, God for the Jewish people. But so many times in life, we miss that moment, that spiritual moment. And this chapter is when that moment happens, and when that transformation happens, and when that love is solidified, and when we say, okay, we're going to spend our lives together. We have that moment. And when the Jewish people recognize, I hear the knock, I'm going back to Israel. Or not necessarily to the land of Israel, the state of Israel, but I'm going back to God. I'm going back and to look into my life. And so this book, so much about the longing, about the beloved. And like I've said many times, and I'll say it in the next couple of chapters as well, I think of the Marc Chagall paintings. I think of the beautiful writing of Heschel, God in search of man, man in search of God, and the constant search that is our lives. And the hope is, from reading this book and the inspiration it should bring to us, as opposed to what we read earlier, Bikashtiv v'lo mitzativ, when she says, I searched for him, I looked for him, but I did not find him. The hope in our lives, whether it be our personal lives, whether it be in our lives with God, with the Jewish people, is Bikashtiv, I searched, I looked, umitzati, and I managed to find that beloved that I was looking for.